2 of my take on my year 2017, July's prompt, which is loved ones. Now that could mean you could be creating a book to remember someone by, or you could create an art journal page regarding your family, you know, your present family, who you love. It could be friends that you love. It could be your pets. I mean, the prompt is pretty much endless. And for me, for day 2, I already did loved ones. I did my family. And so day 2, I love all things vintage, or that have a vintage feel to them. So I took these stamps that are from Dilutions Stamps, the Dilutions line, and I went ahead and stamped them down, and then I colored them in using my Faber-Castell Pitt pens. And so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this fourth lady that I have up at the top left-hand corner of the screen. And so I'm going to speed through this part, and then I'll be back in a little bit. All right, so I've completed coloring them in, and the next step is I'm going to take some different cards. Now, some of them are vintage cards and some of them are not. They're made to look vintage. So the first one is like this index card. It looks like it belonged to some kind of company where they kept track of their vendors or whatnot. And another one is a card. It looks like a postcard that someone sent me in some happy mail. And then a bingo card from Jerry Bellini, and a kind of like a piece of play money, you know, game money from a game that Jerry Bellini sent me in some happy mail a while ago. So I'm going to use these in I'm going to put together some cards that you could use in your art journals for my year. And so enjoy my process as I put these together. And when putting together cards or things, it's all about the layers, like layering things one on top of the other, you know, creating kind of a layered effect gives it a really cool kind of three-dimensional feel to it, or a two-dimensional feel. And so I've gathered a few items from my stash. A lot of them I've got from like estate sales or antique shops, things like that. And the negative is actually from my own personal collection of negatives from years and years of taking photographs. So, you know, you're wondering, what are you going to do with all those negatives? Well, use them in your art. That's what I do. So occasionally I'll have some negatives that I want to use, and I'll just use them because my process is I've scanned a lot of my photographs, and I'm slowly getting rid of some of them because some of them are not vintage photographs. They're just like, you know, colored pictures that, you know, no one really wants to see. So it's like, why keep them? when you can scan them and store them on an external hard drive or on your computer, so it's just much easier that way. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these layers on the first card, and then I'm just going to fast forward through all of this. And don't forget that on YouTube you can actually slow down the videos by clicking, I believe it's the little wheel that you see. I think it's in the lower left hand corner of the screen, or right hand corner, I'm sorry, of the screen. You click on that and you can actually slow down the videos if you want to really see every single detail. All right, so enjoy my process as I finish up this card. So I'm putting together this index card, and I'm just kind of getting an idea of where I'm going to layer, put my objects on the card, where I'm going to glue the lady on. This is kind of like showing you my thought process. I kind of lay things out first and then decide whether I'm going to glue them down in that area. And sometimes I change my mind as I'm working on this. And I don't always have a set idea. I mean, I have a basic idea, but I don't really have the exact way I'm going to do it until I turn on the camera and start working. So that's kind of like how I work. I kind of work on the fly. So that's what I'm doing now. And then you'll see this die cut butterfly. I received that in some Happy Mail a while ago. And you see these metal bars that I'm putting down? I bought these at Daiso Japan. They're weighted bars that help to keep things flat and kind of like a paperweight basically, but they're longer, which I really like. And so I've gone ahead and I'm putting these on top while the lady dries. And then I turned off my camera, and of course with the magic of the camera, she's nice and dry. I've removed it all off. And now I'm going to place my objects down on the card. So yeah, so I hope that you enjoy my process of this, of how to put together some vintage-like cards. I also like to use old coins. I have a bunch of old coins that I have kept over the years from travels, different travel places. I always bring back a coin of some sort, and so I will be gluing down a coin onto this card. It's a little bit flimsy, the card for the coin, but it doesn't really matter because once I adhere it to an art journal page, it'll have the strength it needs being on an art journal page. So I'm not too concerned about that. If you're concerned, then find a lighter item to use on your card, but that's what I'm doing. And then I'm taking some distress ink and just going around the edges to kind of age it up a little bit more and give it a little more depth to the card. Well, I think on this particular card I changed my mind on using the coin, and I went to using one of Tim Holtz's charms. It's like a part of his alterations collection, and I found them when I was in Oregon last month. I went to Joann's in Oregon, and they had a wonderful sale going on, and so I bought a bunch of Tim Holtz charms and things. And so that's what I'm going to be using, is this particular charm, and using a brad to adhere it to the card. Alright, so next I'm using this vintage bingo card that I received in some happy mail from Jerry Bellini, and I'm going to be using this next one, and I believe I'm going to be using some of the distress inks and all kinds of bits and bobs of charms and coins and vintage like objects that I've received in happy mail, as well as I've found at antique shops, as well as estate sales. So enjoy my process as I finish up these cards. Tip: make sure you wipe your hands after you use distress inks, and then handle your objects that you're going to put as your main focal point, because I got ink on her cheek. So I am not going to throw it away, I'm just going to cover it up. That's another great way of fixing mistakes, or learning experiences is what I like to call them. Alright, so in this next card, I'm going to be using some of my doodles. And if you haven't noticed that many people have asked us, how can we thank you? What can we do to help support the program? And many of us have started a PayPal Me, which is kind of like a tip jar. So if you want to go ahead and donate to the tip jar, you will receive some of my digis. They're kind of digis, images that I have created and scanned onto my computer, and you'll get a set of them. I'm not going to tell you how many, it's a surprise, all right? So as a thank you, if you do, tip me, then you will receive a thank you. So thank you so much for supporting each and every one of us. We really appreciate it. And so I'm going to go ahead and use some of my images on this particular card. And the one that has the straight lines there that you see me gluing right now, that is not part of it. But the circles that you see that I'm using, the love circle there, that one is included in the set of 3 things. I'm not gonna tell you all of them, because I like to leave it as a surprise. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish gluing these on and finishing up the cards. And thanks again for watching. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. And without further ado, I'm gonna finish this up.